So what do we learn this week about white-black Exile in Standard? And overall, our record was really solid. We ended up going 4-1 in our matches, only losing to blue-red control, which felt like a legitimately hard matchup. Our endless removal plan just didn't match up at all with what blue-red control was trying to do. Seemed like a miserable matchup. But we beat a couple of different energy decks, a pummeler deck, a teamer energy deck. We beat a blue-black control deck, and we beat New Perspectives, and we always beat New Perspectives. But I felt like the deck actually functioned really well. The weird thing is that I think the deck has gotten worse now that Teamer Marvel is banned and Aetherworks Marvel is banned. So the upside of Lost Legacy a week ago was that we knew that 35% of people were playing Teamer Marvel. We knew that Lost Legacy would get Ulamog, so a lot of the time we just knew we'd have a good target, we knew what to name, and then in the other percentage of matchups, we could always use it to get our Eternal Scourges. Now, though, the format is really in flux, and it's hard to know what to expect. It's not 35% anything, and the value of Lost Legacy really varies in other matchups. I mean, we even had an instance where we cast it against Teamer Energy. We named Chandra, which seemed like a reasonable name. Our opponent didn't even have any Chandras in their deck, so we just spent 3 mana to peek at our opponent's hand and deck, which is definitely not worth a card in 3 mana. So I think it's definitely gotten a lot worse, though. And really, the best part of the deck was our removal. That's what was so impressive. Descend Upon the Sinful was insanely good. Wrathing Gods, giving us the 4/4 left over, our cast outs, our Emulating Gears, our Grasp of Darknesses, our Fatal Pushes. We just had so much good removal that we were able to just grind people out. It felt like we couldn't lose when we ran into like the green-red Pummeler deck or even the Teamer Energy deck because we just had so many ways to kill their things, and then eventually we stick a Planeswalker and get that repeatable advantage and just take over the game that way. And having the ability to Lost Legacy for Eternal Scourge was part of what made it good. You could see in like the blue-black control matchup, we actually just won a game by resolving Lost Legacy, getting our Scourges, playing our Scourges, attacking with our Scourges, and that was good enough to win the game. But I'm wondering now, with Marvel being banned, if what we want to do is, as crazy as this sounds, is just drop the whole Lost Legacy Eternal Scourge plan. I don't even know if that's necessary or where we want to be. I can see the arguments for it in an Aetherworks Marvel format where so many people are playing the same deck, and Lost Legacy is reasonably good in that matchup. At very least, it gets rid of Ulamog, which would be a card that we just would have a super hard time beating. But now, I think that maybe we just drop those cards and play this same shell with all the awesome removal, the Planeswalkers, the Walking Ballistas, all the great parts of this deck that made this deck so good, but use those 8 slots to play, I don't know, Archangel Avacyn, maybe some more Planeswalkers, and just be a more typical white-black control deck, because I think the motivation to make Lost Legacy work in the main deck, which is why we're playing Eternal Scourge. It's not that Eternal Scourge is great, it's okay, but it is a necessity if we're going to try to play for Lost Legacy, because there's just going to be so many times when that's a dead card. So I think we could use those 8 slots for more Planeswalkers, maybe some more threats. The other thing I didn't like about the deck is we did struggle to close out games quickly. We were able to grind out games eventually, but there were times when we'd use all of our removal, we'd feel like we kind of had the game in hand, and we would just draw more lands and more removal, and it would take us a long time to actually close out the game. So adding in some Archangel Avacyn, some more Planeswalkers, would give us a way to close out the game much faster once we kind of get things in hand with our removal. There was also some times where I felt like we had too many lands. 27 lands is a very high number, and it's not like we're going up to anything super expensive, so it wouldn't be bad to have some more card draw. I think playing a lot of lands is fine, because we do want to hit our lands, but it would be nice to have the Succumb to Temptations in the main deck and be able to draw some more cards and kind of force our way through some pockets of lands that we hit eventually. So I think that's the path forward for this deck, is even though we're kind of taking away I don't know, the most unique aspect of the deck. The Lost Legacies for Eternal Scourges, I think the most competitive path forward, considering the Aetherworks Marvelous Band, is just drop those 8 cards in their place, play a couple Avacyn's, play some Liliana the Last Hopes, move some Scumbles into the main deck, and be a really good removal-heavy white-black control deck, and use that to be able to close out the game, and I think that that's the right way forward with this white-black Exile deck. So I think that's my plan. It worked well, but I think it's going to be less good in our format moving forward thanks to the banning. But I feel like the shell is still there, and the shell is solid, so if we take out the things that were there primarily for Marvel, and just throw more good cards, card draw, and ways to close out the game in their place, I think that we could actually make this into a pretty competitive deck going forward, because we have tons of answers for all the creature decks and zombie decks and energy decks that are probably going to be pretty popular in this post-Marvel world. So the deck worked well. I think it can continue to work well with some changes for the new meta. Anyway, that's been our Much Abrew for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the videos, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.